and we're going to kick off the presentation. Okay. So for those of you who aren't members, I'm just going to briefly talk about the range of benefits available when you do join CIBSE. And you can access these benefits when you join at any grade of membership. So that could be as an affiliate, or that could be later in your career as a corporate member or fellow. And we do a lot of different things. But arguably our number one biggest benefit is our CIBSE journal, and it does contain all the latest news, articles, career vacancies, and upcoming training opportunities. It has loads of good stuff in there. And alongside that journal, you'll also get a monthly e-newsletter from us. So it lets you know what's going on here at CIBSE, as well as what's going on in the industry. So we really do try and keep you all updated with what's going on. Our second biggest benefit, arguably, is our knowledge portal, which is members only access. So you can have a look at thousands of publications, articles, and those latest CIBSE guides and standards. And as a member, you can download these for free, which can save you a great deal of money, as some of these guides do cost over £100 each. And there's lots of guides and standards that we have released this year. Lots of things to do with Grenfell as well, and really sort of technical bits and pieces going on in building services. So a really handy tool for you all to use. Then all our members are required to undertake their own CPD. So we do try and make this really easy for you. So as a member, you get a 15% discount on online learning modules, as well as face-to-face training courses and events when they resume. So we also put a CPD section in the journal each month, so you can read about a topic and you fill in a quiz. You log that on your CPD record, as you'll also have a CPD portal. You can store everything in one place, and that's just a handy tool, again, to demonstrate you are keeping up to date with your CPD and you do know what's going on in the industry. And then finally, when you're joining us, you're also joining a network and a community of over 21,000 building services professionals. So that membership can open plenty of doors to you, and all those networking opportunities can in turn sort of help you progress your career as you meet individuals in your industry. And don't just take my word for it. This is one of our members, Sue Ranjit, and she was part of our CIBSE campaign, which we ran last year. And Sue said one of the main benefits of CIBSE is being able to professionally develop within the building services sector, as well as to maintain and track personal development. So touching on those networking opportunities in a bit more detail, so on top of your CIBSE membership, you can also get a professional level of membership in one of our CIBSE societies. And this is actually in addition to that CIBSE membership. So if you wanted to specialise in one of these areas, we have 5 societies. We have the Society of Light and Lighting, the Society of Public Health Engineers, the Society of Facade Engineering, the Institute of Local Exhaust Ventilation Engineers, and the Society of Digital Engineering. So quite a wide range of societies for you to get involved in, and a really good platform as well for you to express your opinions as well as your experience across those different societies. The other things we do is we do have 19 special interest groups, and each one of these groups focuses on a different area of building services engineering. So I've just highlighted a few of the groups just to demonstrate again the range of topics that we have. So this here is the energy performance, intelligent buildings, and homes for the future. And these groups again provide you with that platform to voice your opinions and ideas, and are really, really good to get involved with. And on top of that, we also have our regional networks. So the UK is split into 16 different member-led regional groups. Each region has their own committee, and they run technical events as well as social events. So I would really recommend just have a look on the website, have a look what's going on in your region, and see if you can get involved with CIBSE on a local level. Everyone on the committees are always really lovely and friendly, and they can help you in many different areas. And again, this is one of our members. This is one of our young engineers, Scott Mason. And he has said the networking opportunities that CIBSE presents are invaluable, and it has really helped him to find a sense of community within the building services industry. Okay, so moving on to our CIBSE membership grades. So we do have 7 grades in total. We have our entry grades, which is our student, graduate and affiliate grades. These are really simple. You just fill in an application form online and you pay a subscription fee unless you're a full-time student, in which case that membership is free. And on the right-hand side of your screen, you'll see our corporate grades. So we have licentiate, associate, member, and fellow. And these come with an additional set of benefits as they act as a level of professional recognition. So for our corporate grades, there is an assessment on your competence as part of the application process for these grades. And at the end of the process, you're able to use the CIBSE letters after your name and also go on to achieve Engineering Council registration. So we do always encourage individuals to apply an entry grade initially, just so you're able to access all the membership benefits and become more sort of integrated with the institution, whilst you're working towards upgrading to a corporate grade when you're ready to do so. And as I say, this process is really simple now. We have everything online, so you can just go to the website and check out those online. Okay, so just going to touch on the Engineering Council. As I mentioned, you can get Engineering Council registration alongside those corporate grades. For those of you who don't know, the Engineering Council, they hold the register of professional engineers in the UK. There's over 200,000 individuals on this UK register, and they come under the 3 different levels of professional registration. So that's engineering technician, incorporated engineer, and chartered engineer. And there's also an interim register for those who are working towards professional registration, which is aligned to our graduate grade. So if you are a graduate and you're looking to become professionally registered, but you're not quite at the level of applying, you can go on that interim register with the graduate grade. So CIBSE, we are regulated and licensed by the Engineering Council. So that means we can grant these professional titles in the field of building services. And we're one of 36 professionally registered institutions in the UK. But if you do work in building services, we're going to be the most relevant institution for you to get your registration through. So if you apply as a licentiate, you can then go and get engineering technician professional registration. As an associate, you can apply for incorporated engineer. And then with our member grade, we have 2 different levels. We have member IEng and then member CEng, the chartered engineer. So today I'm going to focus on the associate IEng and member CEng grades. But if you do have any particular questions about Eng Tech or member IEng, do just pop me an email and I'm happy to have a discussion with you on a one-to-one basis. Okay, so benefits of professional registration. So why would you go undertake an application and become professionally registered? So we say, firstly, registration gives you instant recognition, which helps you stand out from your peers. But it's also an indicator of your professional status and acknowledges your career experiences to date, and most importantly, your competence within the building services field. But it's also a globally recognised credential, so it does fulfil both UK and international standards, which is highly respected by employers across the world. So you've got an internationally recognised qualification. And then research has shown that registration gives you a huge advantage over your unregistered peers throughout your career. It can boost your salary prospects, your career progression, and give you better opportunities for professional development. But not only does Engineering Council registration benefit you, it also does benefit your employer. So it gives your employer the reassurance of your credentials, as they know that by you being registered, you've been thoroughly assessed of your competence. But it also shows that you follow professional codes of conduct that everyone in your industry should follow in practice. So you will have your own internal code of conduct for your own company, but by following the CIBSE code of conduct, it just shows that you know about the industry standard. For the employer, it's also an indicator of increased technical ability in the workplace, and it helps them with business bids and tenders, as it shows how many registered engineers there are in the company, which in turn increases technical credibility in both you and your employer. And we do say to individuals, it's always worth finding out the ways in which your employer can support you through this process. That could be covering your subscription costs, providing a mentor or guidance on meeting the competencies. And we do recognise employers who have done this particularly well. And we have an Employer of the Year award. So if you do think your employer's done this particularly well, you can nominate them for that particular award. Okay, so how do we assess you? So not everyone is aware of the difference between CIBSE membership and then Engineering Council registration. So for CIBSE membership, say in this example, MCIBSE, we're purely going to be assessing you on your ability to meet a set of competence criteria. So this is looking at your professional experience. But the Engineering Council, so in this example, the CEng part, they're going to be looking at your academic qualifications or your academic knowledge and understanding. So I'm going to go through the IEng and CEng requirements on the next slide, but if you find that you don't have a relevant qualification, it's not accredited, that's absolutely fine. You can still achieve registration. It just may mean you need to go down the alternative route, which I will explain further on in the presentation. Okay, so the academic requirements for IEng. So if you began your degree before 1999 in the UK, we accept an approved BTEC, HNC or HND in engineering. If you started your degree in the UK after 1999, this time we need an accredited bachelor's degree in engineering. For those of you who are international applicants, if your degree is accredited under the Sydney Accord, we can accept that for IEng. So that's an international agreement that covers Australia, New Zealand, Hong Kong, as well as several other signatory countries for that. And then if you're a European applicant, we can accept your first cycle degree under the FIANI database, which is sort of the European equivalent to the Sydney Accord. But if your degree is not accredited, then you can undertake an independent assessment with CIBSE, where we look at the content of your degree and the modules that you studied, and we'll see whether or not we feel it meets the academic standard for IEng, and we can make that call and that independent decision. So if you're not sure about your qualification, we always say do check with the team in the first instance. Just pop an email through to membership@cibse.org and one of the team will assess your qualifications. Okay, so the academic requirements of CEng is the same format, but the requirements are different. So in the UK, before 1999, it's an accredited bachelor's degree in engineering. But post 1999, we need an accredited MEng or an accredited BEng plus an MSc. For those of you who are international applicants, this time your degree needs to be accredited under the Washington Accord. And then for European applicants, again, the FIANI database, but this time a second cycle degree. And the same rules apply. If your degree is not accredited or you're not sure, you can apply for that independent assessment with CIBSE, but do always check with us in the first instance. Okay, so routes to membership and registration for IEng or CEng. So dependent on whether you hold accredited qualifications, you're going to go down one of two routes. So if you hold a relevant qualification, you can apply via the standard route, and if not, you may be eligible to apply via the alternative route, which is essentially a two-step process as opposed to a one-step process. On the standard route, you're going to submit a written application and report. Then you're going to go ahead and attend an interview, which is a professional review interview with two interviewers. The comments from your interviewers then go to a CIBSE registration panel, and if successful, you get both your CIBSE membership and your Engineering Council registration, and that's because you have that accredited qualification. So the alternative route works in the same way. So the first step of the process is the same. It's the same engineering practice report and the same application form. Then you go ahead and do an interview, but this time it's a competence review interview rather than a professional review interview. And this is because they're purely looking at your competence rather than your competence plus your academics. Then the report and the comments from your interviewers go to a CIBSE members panel. They review, and if you're successful, you get your CIBSE membership. So that could be the MCIBSE or the ACIBSE, depending on what you've applied for. If you then want to go ahead and achieve the IEng or the CEng, you can do that. There's just a second step to that alternative route. So at this point, you have two options. You have the technical report route, where you can write a technical report on a topic of your choosing. So it can be really specific to the professional experience and knowledge that you individually hold. And this report is to demonstrate you hold the knowledge and understanding within the building services engineering at an equivalent level to a master's qualification. You then attend another interview on that report, so you expand on it and then further demonstrate how you have that academic knowledge. Then the report and the comments from your interviewers go to the panel, and then if successful, they then give you the IEng and the CEng on top of the membership you've already achieved. The other route is the further learning route. So if you had, say, a bachelor's degree and then you went back to university and did an MSc, you now have the right qualifications to go down the standard route. But as you've already done the first step, all you do now is you update the engineering practice report that you submitted in the first step of the process. Then you attend an interview on that updated report to demonstrate how you have met certain requirements since you've gone and done your further learning. Then the report and the comments from the interviewers go to the registration panel, and then you get your IEng or your CEng on top. Okay, so moving on to the competence criteria. So as part of the ACIBSE and the MCIBSE application, we will look at your competence and commitment to building services engineering. So the Engineering Council has set out a list of competence criteria for each grade that all applicants need to show they can meet as part of their application. So you will be required to write an engineering practice report where you look back on your career and provide examples for meeting each of the 17 criteria for ACIBSE or MCIBSE. So I'm not going to go through the competencies today in loads of depth, but I'm just going to quickly explain the kind of criteria that sits within each section. Okay, so your A and B competencies are all about your technical skills and engineering knowledge and how you have applied these in the professional roles you've held. So essentially how you solve engineering problems. And then the rest of the criteria is about your soft skills. So C is your responsibility. So it's looking at your technical and commercial leadership, your management skills, how you handle responsibilities, deal with tasks and other people, and whether or not you line manage someone. That's a good example to use if you do that. Then D is looking at your communication and interpersonal skills. So this could be how you write technical reports, how you talk to suppliers, how you treat, internal staff as well. And then E is looking at your commitment to engineering. So this is about how you comply with the CIBSE Code of Conduct, your understanding of health and safety, ethics, and how you keep you up to date with your CPD. So that could be going on a course or reading the CIBSE journal, for instance. And as I mentioned, there are 17 criteria for ACIBSE and MCIBSE, and then 23 criteria for the MCIBSE IEng. And you'll see here the UK spec as the document that the Engineering Council put together. And on the slides, this is an interactive hyperlink, so you can click that and it will take you straight through to the document if you want to review the competencies in some more depth. Okay, so which grade should you go for? So the requirements for ACIBSE and MCIBSE can appear to be quite similar, so not everyone is sure which grade they should be applying for. And the key really is to look at the difference in the wording in that competence criteria. So we're going to look today at sections A to C, as D and E are fairly similar, and this is kind of what we would expect from a candidate applying for each of these grades. So if we look at competency A, we would expect associate and incorporated engineers to maintain and manage applications of current and developing technology. And this person may undertake engineering design, development, manufacture, construction, and operation. Whereas an MCIBSE, they would develop solutions to engineering problems using new or existing technologies through innovation, creativity, and change. And they may have technical accountability for complex systems with significant levels of risk. Then if we look at competency B, An associate will be able to use theoretical knowledge to solve problems in developed technologies using well-proven analytical techniques. Whereas an MCIBSE, they will be able again to use theoretical knowledge to solve problems, but this time with new technologies and developing new analytical techniques. And then competency C, an associate will have responsibility for project and financial planning and management, together with some responsibility for leading and developing other professional staff. Whereas an MCIBSE will have accountability for project and finance and personal management and managing trade-offs between technical and social economic factors. So essentially, the more strategic and senior your role, the higher the level you can apply for. So if you're not sure, I would recommend look at both competence criteria. As you can see here, it's A21 for ACIBSE and M21 for MCIBSE. Have a look at those criteria side by side and try and do a matching exercise of your professional experience against that two criteria. And this will give you an indication of which grade is more suitable for you at this stage in your career. Okay, so moving on to myths. So I get a lot of questions from a lot of individuals about who can and who can't apply for membership. And these are some of the most common questions that I get. So just to demystify those, the most common question I get is, I don't have a bachelor's or master's degree, I can't apply, or I don't have an accredited qualification, I can't apply. So as we mentioned, this is not true. If you have an accredited bachelor's degree, that's great. You can go down that standard route. But for those without a qualification that is accredited, we do have that alternative route in place. And that considers a person's professional experience and achievements rather than the qualifications that they hold. Another big question that I get is, I don't have many years experience, or I don't have any UK experience, I can't apply. So again, this is not true. Experience from person to person can be extremely different. So rather than focus on the number of years of experience you have, we recommend look at that competence criteria of the grade you're applying for and see whether or not you can match examples of your engineering knowledge and professional experience to those competencies. And definitely international experience is absolutely welcome. We have lots of international members. So if you do have international experience and it's relevant, pop it in there in your report. And then the third question I get a lot is, I don't have any direct reports, I can't apply. So by direct reports, I mean line manage someone. If you do that, that is a really good example to demonstrate competency C and D, but it's not a requirement. So if you don't directly line manage someone, but you liaise with internal or external suppliers, staff, contractors, that, or you're managing sort of projects or budgets, those are also examples of management and good communication skills. So it's not a requirement to be a line manager to apply for the higher grades of membership. Okay, so writing your engineering practice report. So the way you're going to demonstrate your ability to meet each of the competence criteria is through this report. So you're going to need to review your career to date and select strong examples you can think of that are going to meet that competence criteria. And there is a 4,000 to 5,000 word count for this report. And the main thing is to ensure you are providing an example for each and every one of those criteria. So it doesn't necessarily mean you have to come up with 17 or 23 different examples, not at all. You can use the same example or project for more than one competency or sub-competency, as long as it's relevant and it can address the varying requirements. So, if you have a big project, you may draw on different aspects of it to fulfill different criteria. And then when you come to write this report, we do have plenty of support initiatives for you in place. I'm just going to bring them all up. So we do have report writing workshops, and this is sort of staggered over a few different sort of lunchtime sessions with our CIBSE interviewers. So it is a professionally ran workshop where you write big chunks of your engineering practice reports. I believe it's around sort of £60 for members, and they're organised by my colleague Jill. So if you are interested in those, do check them out. Nada did our workshop last year, and she now has her Ceng, and she wrote her experience of those workshops in the journal. So again, if you click on Nada, you'll go through to her comments on the CIBSE journal. Then we have a load of sample reports online for every grade of membership. So again, if you're not sure how to start your report, do take a look at these examples. They are from successful applicants. And they also show that you can write your report in one of two ways. You can do it in a competency-based way, where you have an example of a report and you address one competency, A1, then the next example, and then A2. Or you can do it in a project-based way, where you have an example of a project and you address varying requirements as you go down. So you can see in this example here, the person has started with E3, then it's gone on to A1. So it's not in a sort of chronological order as such. Then we have the second part of this series. So we have the How to Start Your Engineering Practice Report webinar. So again, if you want to come along to that, that will give you more detail as to how to start. And we also do closing date surgeries. So the next one is in January. This is a free 30-minute online session with the CIBSE interviewer, and they review your report and any questions that you have on a one-to-one with you to give you that final push over the line if you're going for our February closing date. But one thing that's not on this slide that we do also do is we do phone surgeries with our interviewers, and we have so many slots of those per closing date where you can book an hour with an interviewer. They review the entirety of your report and they give you lots of feedback. Those are really, really good, and they can be booked through emailing membership@cibse.org, or you can just email me and that's fine. Okay, so moving back to the application for ACIBSE and MCIBSE. So you will need to provide a few different bits of documentation to go with your report. And as I say, the whole process now is online. So there will be all the instructions that you need when you apply online. So the first bit is your application form with your sponsor's requirement. So the only requirements that we have for your sponsor is they need to be at the level or above you're applying for, and you need to have known them for a minimum of 1 year. So if you're going for MCIBSE Ceng, your sponsor would either need to hold MCIBSE or they'd need to hold Ceng with a different institution. So if you know someone from the IMechE, the ICE, any other institution under the Engineering Council, you can use that person as a sponsor. They just need to hold Ceng if you're going for Ceng, or IEng if you're going for IEng. And you need to know them professionally for a year. The next bit is you need to submit a copy of your CV. So this is just a bit of information on your roles and responsibilities for those relevant jobs that you've done, and just make sure that's in chronological order. Then you have the main body of your application, which is your engineering practice report, where you demonstrate those competencies through 4,000 to 5,000 words. Then you have an organizational chart, and this is a sort of diagram to demonstrate your current position within your company. So again, doesn't have to have loads of information, but at least 1 or 2 tiers above and below where you sit, so the interviewers can get a feel for the types of responsibility you may have. And then finally, a development action plan. So this is 150 words per section for your short, medium, and long-term goals. And this can be anything from institutional goals to work objectives, personal goals. It could be, I want to be internationally recognised within the next 5 years, or I want to achieve MCIBSE Ceng within the next 12 months. So whatever you want to put down there. And there is application guidance on the 2 pages here, but also when you're applying online, you just need to click through to these pages, either associate or member, depending on what you're going for. And you'll see as you scroll down the page, there is an apply online button for you to click. Click that and you initiate the process of applying for ACIBSE and MCIBSE, but you can dip in and out and edit when you want to, so that's fine. Okay, so how does the interview work? So I'm going to briefly touch on this as well. So after you've submitted that written application, you're going to be invited to attend an interview. And this is really your opportunity to verbally demonstrate an example for each of the competence criteria again. So you'll basically be verbally going through your report. There's going to be 2 interviewers present who have undertaken special training, and you're going to be asked to prepare a 15 to 20 minute presentation where you demonstrate those competencies, and you're going to do that initially and then you'll get the questions for the rest of the hour. So the presentation is relatively informal. You know, it's more of a conversation between peers, your fellow engineers, and it doesn't need to be super formal. Obviously, we will expect you to sort of have a smart, casual dress, but don't worry about it being a really formalized interview. That's not kind of the setup that we have. I would just recommend, you know, send your presentation across to CIBSE in advance of your presentation. You'll be sent a link where you can upload your presentation, and just make that sure that your presentation is really clear. So when you're putting your slides together, make sure you put on the slide which competencies you're addressing, or if it's just one competence, that one competence, so the interviewers can really see exactly what it is that you're addressing in that presentation. But as I say, it's an hour long, so 20 minutes for the presentation, and then there's the Q&A from the interviewers afterwards. And they're only going to ask you questions about either your report or what you've said in your presentation. So it should be really sort of tailored to your professional experience. But if you're not sure how to prepare, again, we have a 5-minute little video on how to prepare for the interview. So do have a look at that if your interview's coming up and you're a little bit nervous. Okay, so if you're a UK applicant, here are some key dates for you. So the next closing date that we have is on the 1st of February 2021. And if you submit for that closing date, you will have your interview between April or May. And then the next closing date we have in the year is the 1st of August 2021. And then your interview would take place between October and November. So just to re-emphasize, this is just for UK-based applicants. If you're based anywhere else internationally, whether that's France or Egypt, you know, these dates do not apply to you at all. You can apply at any time in the year. So that is absolutely fine. Okay, so we say after today's webinar, do start your journey if you haven't already. As I say, the process to become an affiliate member is really easy. You just go to the website, click apply, and then you can become an affiliate member today. It's really straightforward and streamlined, which is great. And here again are the links to the other pages if you want a bit more information about our corporate grades. So hopefully we will stay in touch, and we can help you with your application. You know, you can always come to me with any of your questions, and we can also invite you to useful events, webinars and workshops, and give you a reminder of the application deadlines. And if you're ever wondering what we are doing, and we do a lot, we do have 4 different social media channels, so do check us out on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram and Facebook. Okay, so that is the end of the presentation. I'm just going to stop the recording now.